Hello, welcome back to an impromptu in a nutshell. This one's going to be off the cuff and kind of different because personally, I haven't finished the game, but hey, let's get right into it. I just want to get my thoughts out there for this game and what I think so far. I'm going to do something a little different because I personally haven't finished this game, but I wanted to get my thoughts around how I feel. I'm about 60-ish to 70-ish hours in, give some positives and negatives, and my all-around opinion so far as somebody who has played through all the other FromSoft games. Let's start off with the positives. There are a lot of things, and I know a lot of people love this, and some of the stuff is a positive and a negative, and that's going to sound wishy-washy, but I promise I will make my points, and I think it's great. So if you're on the fence about this game, don't worry, I'm not going to say any spoilers or anything else like that. I'm just going to give my honest review of somebody who is personally going through the game right now myself and wants people to know exactly what they're going to get themselves into. All right, let's start off by saying that I love the open worldness of this, and that's one of the points that I'll also be talking about in the negative section as well. But I will say certain aspects of the way FromSoft put the open world in is great. And with that being said, a lot of the visuals in the place are great. They're not breathtaking, but they're great. And also, I like a lot of the enemy placements that they did. And I think it's fantastic how well they utilized some areas in the game with the enemy placement. I think they did a good job implementing time and time of day and stuff like that, and utilizing it like other games like Breath of the Wild. I enjoyed the maps aspect of being able to open up certain parts of the map. Now, granted, it doesn't stop you from progressing in the game, but so many other open world games, you have to climb a tower or, get a beacon or anything else like that. I enjoyed the map aspect of it, and I think overall it was a great way to do it. And then there's the NPCs, the characters you interact with in the game. And one, voice actors did a great job reading the lines and stuff like that. And two, good job FromSoft actually making your characters in non-cutscenes move their mouths. I know that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't notice, but several FromSoft games, the characters just sit there and don't move their mouths unless it's a cutscene. But hey, they finally did it, and I enjoyed it. I think it's great. And the variety of the characters you interact with, great all around. In my opinion, I think they did a great job, and I will say good on them. Now, the sheer volume of weapons and variety of different ways you can play this game is a positive. You want to be X character, you can be X character. You want to be a big shield person with a big sword covered in armor from head to toe, you can do that. And it is mind-boggling the amount of weapons, magic, projectiles, armor, and everything else in the game that they put into it. You can tell that they really thought that aspect through, and that honestly is a positive because the variety of weapons and moveset was something that a lot of people were worried about when they saw the trailer and the release and stuff like that with reused assets as far as moves go, which I'm fine with that. I think they did a great job adding variety. So like, let's say you want to be a no-closed club carrying person with a pot on your head, you can do that. Let's say you want to be a magician, you can do that. They're all viable options. And now, let's get into what I don't like about this. First and foremost, I know, blah, 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 somebody who doesn't like this and blah, 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 somebody who doesn't like that. I understand that. I'm just giving my objectives opinions of what I've thought and what I think is going on with this game. I don't have a ton of extra time to play this game. My first stint was around 50 hours of playing through this game, and I would say honestly I probably got through 1/3 of it. And let me just say that the sheer size of this game is astronomical when it comes to FromSoft's other games. If you want to pick up Sekiro or Dark Souls and play through it, you could do it in like 4 to 8 hours. This, no. Now, I do understand that there are people who have beat the game in a matter of minutes because of glitches and stuff like that. I'm just talking about an average person playing the game. It is huge. You're going to sink a lot of time in this, so if you want something that you're going to sink some time into, and go for it, but at the same time, know that it is huge. Too big. Too big, according to me. FromSoft isn't really known for writing a story that's actually out in the open, except for the exceptions of Bloodborne and Sekiro, which are beautiful masterpieces as far as story goes, in my opinion. I'm probably about halfway through the game at this point. I'd say I'm sitting around like 70, 80 hours-ish, and I still have no clue what's going on. I have no clue where to go, what's going on with the characters or stories or anything else like that. And I can hear it now. Oh, Adam, the Sights of Grace tell you what you're supposed to be going. Well, right now I have 3 different directions that they're telling me to go. There's new characters inside things and factions I'm running into that I know nothing about, and I should not have to look up on a wiki somebody's storyline to know what is going on. The game should present it to me. And you might be like, oh, well, the game has presented it to you. No, it has not. I have not seen anything. I have not heard anything. I know nothing about these characters. Nothing. Now, I understand you can miss quest lines, and I have in other games, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But if I progress a quest line for something else, do not leave the other one open. And I think that's something that is absolutely bonkers to me. And I don't get it. And I know the game is, and FromSoft is known for vaguely laying out story, but I know for a fact that they can write and present lore and story on a level. Some people love how vague the lore is, but I want to know what's going on without going into a thesis of research and 500 different pages and a Wikipedia and 800 watching 5 hours of Vadi video videos just to understand what I'm currently playing. I want to go through it and sort of understand. Like, if you take a look at Dark Souls, you are a person who is trying to either end the flame or continue the flame. That was presented in there. Now, I know there's certain things that you're supposed to do in this game and the point of it, but at this point, I'm so lost, I don't know what my character is supposed to do. Now, let's get into the sheer size and how I said this is kind of wishy-washy, because I said this is a good point, but it's also a bad point. In open world games, the sheer size of this game is just so huge, and I understand it's a huge undertaking for game devs and the developers to reuse assets, but it's absolutely mind-boggling how many reused enemies there are in this game. And I'm not talking about, hey, this enemy is just another one. I'm talking like, hey, guess what? You're going to fight 6 of the same type of enemies and 6 of the same type of situations and 6 of the same stuff. The end. That's it. No more. No less. And the sheer variety of the enemies I thought would be more, especially going into new regions and different assets. It's just a reskinned enemy, which I understand from a developmental point. But at this point, if you think about how that works, if you are literally reusing the same thing in animations and stuff for a different area instead of creating new assets, then maybe you should scale back your scope just a little bit, because it might just be a little too big. Now let's compare that to other open world games that are similar. Like, you could tell that there was a lot of inspiration and stuff taken from Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild has its own issues, but as far as open worldness, it's nowhere near the size of Elden Ring. Because Elden Ring's so big, you can tell that they were running out of things to do and placement of things. So it was just like, oh, throw another one of this boss in there. And that's why it's a negative for me. Now let's get to the big elephant in the room, because I know some people are still having issues with this, but the PC port. And I say port because I don't believe it was written for PC. It was written for the game consoles. As a PC player, now I could have bought it on PS5. I could have, but I didn't want to because I enjoy using my PC, because that's why I have a gaming PC. But the sheer amount of issues from day one that PC players have had, like, I cannot run this game without VSync off, without there being so much screen tearing, which literally says that the code is horribly optimized. And let's not talk about how I personally had to go into BIOS on my computer and shut things off just to get this game to run right, which now has been patched, but that's not the point. And I know some people are like, oh, well, you could just play it on PlayStation. You know, the PlayStation has its own issues, and the Xbox has its own issues. It had its own issues with this game. The thing is this stuff can be tested. I just think these game devs want to get their stuff out there so much that they don't think about these things and they don't test enough, in my opinion, anymore these days. And that's about it for my little rant for this game that a lot of people are calling Game of the Year. I'm not going to give it an out of 10 because I haven't finished the game. But unlike other Soul games, I feel like the progression in this game is lost and you don't feel like you're actually getting through the story. And that's even, it's even worse than Dark Souls 2, which has a convoluted hacked together map with tons of ideas. And I know I'm being controversial and a lot of people are gonna, and hands down, it's a great game. It's just frustrating because it is going to be an enormous time sink for me. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I hope you have a great one. And I'll see you next time for another In the Nutshell.